This is the Backlog Exposed podcast with Kevin Lane and Joel Rubel, bringing you weekly discussions on gaming as well as quick insights into sports, entertainment, and anything else that they can think of. Be sure to check out the backlogexposed.com, where you can listen to the podcast and get links to Twitter, Discord, YouTube, and Facebook.
I'm Joe.
I'm Kevin.
And we are
The Backlog
Exposed. Yeah!
Now, gear up and get ready because this backlog is about to be exposed.
Hey everybody, it's your host Kevin, and I am here with episode number 45 of The Backlog Exposed, and I'm running a solo mission today. Today is March 11th. Yes, everyone, 3/11. And if you don't know what that is, check it out on iTunes. But, one of the things I wanted to jump right into today is iTunes. Okay, so I'm looking over at our iTunes, looking at the Backlog Exposed, and I see that we have 9 reviews. That's it, just 9. I know we have more than 9 listeners, so if you wouldn't mind, go ahead, get on out there, check it out, and, just give us a little review. You have to type something or nothing. I don't know. I mean, just if you're running this shit on your iPhone, jump over to the store, give us a star, 2 stars, 3 stars, 5 stars, whatever you want to give us. And if you feel like throwing a note in there about how we're doing, feel free. But yeah, we haven't had a review in quite some time, so I hate to consistently ask, but it is kind of necessary so that we can maintain and increase these viewers and listeners and all that. Quick couple of updates. The move over here in Jacksonville has gone not as smooth as I'd hoped. Unfortunately, there was a lot more work to be done when we got here than what we had anticipated, and after quite a bit of remodeling and many hours of labor that probably was unexpected by the previous owners, my buddies. But, when you live in a house for so long, you tend to forget about certain little things, and they add up, and then you up and move to another country, and, you don't realize that there's just a lot of little things that need to be fixed for a new family moving in. We're not just staying here, we're living here. So I wanted to make this house our home and, start doing it right. In the process, generated some really, really uncomfortable issues in my wrists and my elbows. I'm getting old, I'm almost 40. So that being said, carpal tunnel ain't no joke. I talked about it a couple weeks ago, talked about how I was having some serious pains in my wrists, and I've been going back and forth with the doctors and seeing a neurologist. I end up finding out that I have an issue with my neck. I have a C4 herniation in my neck, or C6 or something like that. Not necessarily what's causing my problems in my arms, but I do have a pretty severe case of carpal tunnel in my right hand that, this move didn't cause it, but it did trigger it. It did inflame it. And so, I always kind of laughed, and not laughed, but when I was younger, people say, "Oh, watch out, you're going to get carpal tunnel. You type all the time." I mean, I've played and worked on computers since I was 5 years old. And so, and video games as well. And so, at the end of the day, the real story here is that you got to stay conscious of it all. I mean, carpal tunnel is not as simple as really sore wrists when typing. It's like these intense nerve cramps. And I don't know if you've ever had like sciatica or anything in the hip, but it's like this deep pain. It's not a standard like, oh, I bumped my arm, I'm gonna rub it off and make the pain go away. It's this deep, sharp, heavy, and sharp and dull at the same time. It's really hard to explain. If you're a dude, you understand by saying get kicked in the nuts. It's pain. It's intense pain, but it's not like bumping your elbow on the wall. It's a bit different. For the ladies out there, nerve pain. I mean, you ever get a toothache or anything like that? It's just it's a different type of pain. It doesn't just go away. And so when my hand starts to cramp up or tighten up, sometimes it really locks up to the point where like my ring finger and my pinky finger curl inside my hand, and I can't really do much about it. and the pain is excruciating at times. But the other issue I have is this ulnar nerve, which is the funny bone nerve. And for me, it actually dips down into, it's basically triggering and firing off all the time, sometimes worse than others. And for some reason, it's really bad at night. I don't think there's a specific way I can sleep. I've tried slings, I've tried wrist braces and things. Nothing seems to help. And unfortunately, it's resulted in, today I visited the doctor and I have to get surgery. So 2019 starting off great with a heavy duty move, a lot of work to do, and now double arm surgery. I have to get elbow and wrist surgery, and that's happening later this month. And then once I recover, I'm going to be doing some left arm. So I'm starting with my right, wait for recovery, which is about 4 to 6 weeks, and then jumping into whatever is going to happen on my left arm. So not super excited about that, but it is what it is, and we do what we have to do. My main concern is being able to take care of my children, being able to work, and I guess I'll be able to do those things. I don't want to sound like a big baby, but at the same time, it is nerve-wracking, especially when you know they're going to be cutting things and cutting potentially important things, these tendons and nerves and all that. I mean, there's a reason they're there, the reason your body keeps them. There's a reason they're inflamed. I was doing things I probably shouldn't have for a long period of time. But hey, it is what it is. Your favorite host he'll live to see another day. And, it sucks, but it is going to happen. And I'll at least get my right arm done this month. My dad's going to be coming in later this month as well, see the family. Can't wait to see him and his wife, Jackie. And it's going to be a good month in April, I think. So as I recover from this, let's see what else we got. So update on the move. The move is going good at this point now. We've got the pool clean, the yard's getting cleaned up. There's quite a lot. I mean, the yard, really just, I talked about it last week, but a lot of work in the yard, because while it's been maintained and looks beautiful, there's just a lot of things that needed to come out. But bushes that aren't bushes, but just weeds that have been manicured into bushes and things like that, because stuff grows so fast in Florida. And if you don't realize or recognize that what's growing is a weed, it turns into a tree. I mean, these things have some of these bushes and stuff that I'm cutting down have like 6-inch diameter trunks, and then at one point they were just a green weed growing out of the ground. If you've lived in Florida, you know what I'm talking about, because they pop up overnight, and within a couple of weeks, they're 6-7 feet tall, and have 3 different arms on them. They look like trees, and they're not necessarily ugly, but they do. They harbor a lot of insects, and they harbor a lot of bees. And at the same time, they kill off the other vegetation around them because they have vines. The vines work their way through all the other trees and start strangling the arms of the trees, the trunks and the limbs, and so anyways, it's starting to clean up real nice, and my neighbor's been helping me out with a chainsaw, getting some of this stuff taken care of, and it's a lot of work, but it's satisfactory work. When you sit back and look at the changes, you can actually enjoy it. I am a instant gratification type of guy, and when you cut down a tree or open up an area, boom, it all looks beautiful. On top of that, pool's been open. Our kids got in it the other day. It's freezing cold, but you can't stop them. They're already in it and in it to win it. I love seeing them happy and jumping in that pool. So it's going to be an awesome summer for them. Screens, they've been the screens on the pool. It's a fully enclosed pool. So the screens have been up for many years. A couple of them had to get replaced, but been pressure washing the other ones that were kind of nasty looking with the green algae and whatnot on them. And they're starting to clean up real nice. So anyways, I'm looking forward to this summer. Hopefully having friends over and stuff, being able to entertain, because it's a beautiful house to entertain in. And we've also been working on getting the TVs up, getting the furniture where it's got to go, all this stuff before my surgery, because I know I'm going to be down for the count. The key thing here is my studio. Now, we call it a studio or an office or whatever, but one of the things I wanted to set up here in this new house is a room that has a higher quality audio setup, with the sound pads on the walls, and it's got a carpet, which when I started this podcast, I was small, very hot tile floor room, and if you listen to the earlier episodes, you can actually hear the echo and just all the nastiness. And over time, we've gotten better at the audio engineering. But one of the things is the product of your environment. So start trying to set this one up so that it's a game room and a studio. And we're going to be bringing this stuff live, probably on YouTube or Twitch or both. And also going to be enhancing our Twitch streams. Joe and I going to be looking to do that. We've been talking about all this stuff, but now it's really starting to come together. Joe's going to be getting his Elgato soon. And, I already sent him his PC. So, like I said, this stuff's coming together. And while the first quarter here of 2019 has been a little rough and shaky with different things personally, sickness and blah, blah, blah. There's not a lot to complain about at the end of the day. We're healthy, we're happy, we're living, and we're going to be bringing this content to you as best we can. I reached out to the fans, and I did get some feedback, which I really appreciate. So those of you who did reach out, it's awesome to hear what you're thinking and how you feel about it. That's why at the beginning of this episode, I talked about iTunes. If you're not afraid and you don't mind, it does help us a lot. You might not think so, but when you're sitting on 9 reviews total, and the last one was August or whatever, so we're talking 6 months ago, 7, 8 months ago, or whatever. But I know people are listening. Our viewership and our listenership is growing. And so I'm just asking all those new listeners and the old listeners, just go out there and review. It helps because there's a lot of us out here doing this thing. And I want to be on top. I don't want to just do this for 30, 40, 50 people. I want to do this for thousands and thousands of people. And I want to get better. And I want to know what I need to do to get better. And reviews help that. So appreciate that. Prior to you going out there and doing it. Also tell your friends, if you don't mind, share our posts on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, retweet or whatever, and talk about it with people. Just let them know, hey, I heard this cool podcast. It would help us out if you shared it so that people know about it. And if you don't want to do any of those things and you just want to listen, be my guest. I really appreciate that as well. And without further ado, let's jump right into the video games and stuff. So a couple of tidbits of gaming news here. Borderlands 2 got the AIM update. And so going back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, we were getting some feedback from listeners and stuff. And one of the things somebody wanted to hear about, I haven't been talking about VR much lately. And also Borderlands 2, I was talking it up. And it kind of came out. And I haven't really talked much about it. So I got into Borderlands 2 and jumped right in and played it. I think it was the night it came out or the day after it came out. And I enjoyed it. But one of the things, and I've talked about this a lot in the past, one of the things with VR is if you're tired or if you're not, you're not all there, you're stressed out or whatever, VR may or may not be the best thing for you. And sometimes it's really good to go in and get lost. But at the same time, if you got a headache, you don't want to put that VR on. If you're sick, you don't want to put that VR on. So head colds and stuff, I find I don't want to go near it. Literally for 3 to 4 weeks, I haven't even put that headset on because with all the moving and all the back and forth and every day, it's been literally like I haven't been playing anything. I mean, I jump into a couple games of Fortnite a day, a couple games of Apex, and maybe a couple games of Blackout, and that's it. I haven't really spent the time to do anything else. And as you can tell by some of the episodes that, just don't have the time for consistency, which, all this stuff's going to be falling into place. But at the same time, it's been so hectic. So getting the VR on has not been anything that I've been able to do recently, but I'm looking at it right now and it's ready to go. So as I get this room cleaned up and get the setup for the VR, get my camera going and everything, I am going to do it. And I'm going to try to stream some of it as well. One of the games I do plan on jumping right into is Borderlands 2. One of the reasons I want to jump right into it is they just got the AIM update. If you don't know what the AIM is that PVC pipe looking controller. It looks like a gun. When you're in a game that handles the aim correctly, like Farpoint, it's really good. And I can't stress enough how comfortable holding the gun feels, how accurate you can be. And, if it lines up right within the headset, man, it feels like you're holding that thing and, the rifle or whatever. The buttons are in the exact spot they need to be. The controls are very beautiful. So there's been a lot of positive reviews on this kickoff for the AIM update for Borderlands 2 VR. I can't wait to jump in. And I got to believe, too, that they're working on VR aspect of Borderlands 3. We talked a little bit about it. The devs for Borderlands 2 are excited for this update. They came to Reddit. They talked about it a little bit to the user base. And so it's something that they're actively involved with. We know that they're tweaking things and working on things. I've got to hope that that's part of Borderlands 3. I really still do believe in the VR aspect of the Sony PlayStation and the different VR systems for computer. Those tend to be a bit more expensive as a price point to jump into, unless you're going on a mixed reality or something like that. But you know how I feel about the VR. If you've been listening for any length of time, I push it every week. I really want Joe to get it. He doesn't really want to. I think he's a little nervous about the way it made him feel. But he didn't play enough, to be honest. But again, he also didn't jump in at the price point I did at the beginning. It was pretty expensive, and I felt whether I liked it or not, I was going to jump in and play it. I ended up liking it. I have a bunch of games on my backlog that need to get taken care of, and as I get this stuff set up, I'm saving some of this stuff to stream and kind of do like a rapid fire every night. Just start pumping these things out. Some of these games are going to take 1, 2, 3 hours to beat. Some of them are going to take some time, and I'll probably, as I stream them, I'll be looking for help from the listeners and the audience to help me beat these games faster, because I got so many, and I want to make it a community event. So if I throw on Spider-Man and you're watching me stream, don't feel bad to tell me what to do next, or how to take a shortcut or whatnot. I'm not a completionist, so it's more about understand the game, understand the story, beat it, enjoy it, move on. I got a lot to get to. So, as we start to tackle these things on the Twitch backlog broadcasts, it's going to be fun, and hopefully the community will get involved as well. Let's see. So, hey, did y'all hear about the new Google console? Yeah, I say the word Google, and all of a sudden my Google starts listening, right? So Google's coming out with a controller. The concept for this controller just leaked this week. It looks a little boxy. It looks a little weird. I highly doubt that's the final version, but you never know. Google takes leaps and bounds. They tend to work, and if they don't, they scrap the whole thing. But there are some rumors coming out that later this month, maybe even as early as this week, there's going to be a console drop, and they're going to be competing. And the additional rumor is that Sega, the classic Sega, they're going to be jumping in the ranks with Google, with the capital Sonic, having the stamp of approval from Sonic at the top. And we've seen recently some new Sonic imagery. I believe this is probably going to be true. A lot of these leaks and rumors are very hard to keep down nowadays. Hell, even Apex got leaked. No one believed it, but it got leaked a week early. So I imagine we're going to be seeing a Google console. I personally did some testing with Google, the streaming service that they have, and I tested out the ability to stream the new Assassin's Creed game. And I'll tell you what, over my computer, just in a Chrome browser, I was playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or whatever the latest one is, and it was flawless, and it was not running off of my computer. The only thing it was doing was running off of a tab in Chrome. All the processing was being done on their end. And so I think that this console is going to incorporate that, from what I understood. And we're going to see a streaming type console. Very interesting concept. It'll be interesting to see how they implement it. But I'm all for moving to that type of thing. I don't need discs. I hate having them. They always get scratched or broken or lost, especially now that I have kids that are turning them the wrong way up and constantly taking one and putting it in the wrong box and this and that. Digital's the way to go for me. Personally, it's my preference. And so a streaming console makes sense. Will it compete? Can it compete? Hell, if it has Apex and Fortnite, it's already halfway there. Games like that, these free-to-play games that everyone's flocking to, as long as it can play something like that, they'll be okay to start. I'm sure if they just throw a skin in there in Fortnite, thousands of people will jump in and get it. Let's see. So some other feedback we got. They want to hear more about Todd. My buddy Todd, who he is one half of the tag team champions in NXT, which is a WWE brand. They are the tag team champions, the War Raiders. And just a quick update here. I won't dive into this too deep, but Todd is one hell of a dude. He's a really hardworking guy. He's been doing this since I was in high school. He's been going on, following all the circuits, all the ranks, doing all the hard time, and now he's finally what you would call made it in the big leagues. Still one more step to go. He's got to get on the main primetime SmackDown and Raw, but he's just about there. Being a tag team champion in NXT, every single one of them so far has moved on, save for the new era, which they're on the cusp of moving on into the big leagues. This following event coming up here in April is NXT TakeOver New York, where they have the wrap up of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. NXT Tag Team Champions, the War Raiders, will be taking on either Aleister Black and Ricochet or the Forgotten Sons. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about this and how they're pumping up a couple different teams. Now, Aleister Black and Ricochet made it onto Raw, and they've been teaming up on both brands, on NXT and on Raw. And the Forgotten Sons is a team, I guess they're kind of like bad guys, from what I understood, and NXT started pumping these guys real quick. They're like veterans, motorcycle riders or whatever, and they come across as tough guys. They've been getting a little bit of a push, and as much as I don't want to see my buddy lose his belt, one of the only ways to move on is to relinquish the belt and move up. I'd like to see a little stompage, not lose the belt, but move on anyways. I still hope he shows up in WrestleMania later this month, or next month, but who knows? We'll see what happens. But they're doing pretty good. They got a solid team. The fans are starting to really pick up on these guys, and it couldn't happen to a better guy. His teammate Ro seems like a really awesome guy as well. Check him out, the War Raiders. One other note on NXT, you have Thomas Ciampa. He's their champion. He's also hell of a dude. He seems like really hard worker. I've been following him for a little while since Ring of Honor, and I guess Hanson trained him. My buddy Todd was one of the trainers for him, and he's the champion, but he just had to undergo some major neck surgery. I guess he's going to be out for about a year. So that nixes some plans there. So who knows? Room to move up, I guess, for other people. But that's the Todd update. I'll be keeping you abreast as to what's going on there. I'll give you an update on what happens for NXT TakeOver when he defends his belt, and if and when he shows up at WrestleMania or Raw or SmackDown. It's gonna happen. Let's see. Okay, Anthem. All right, I apologize to anyone who bought Anthem because I said give it a shot. I'm still banking on Anthem being a good game. I know people will still laugh at me for that, but here's the thing. I have such a long backlog that I shouldn't have pre-ordered it. I did pre-order it. I was really hyped about it. I've been following this game for quite some time. I got to play the beta, the pre-alpha. Both of those were, to me, satisfactory enough to pre-order it, and I'm still not disgruntled that I pre-ordered it. But I am going to slow down on pre-orders because of it. A game that's been in the making for so long, they've had all this time to perfect it, and the launch has been abysmal. It's been terrible for them, to the point where the game is probably close to dead. I mean, who knows? But it's hard to recover from such a despicable start. It's been out for a couple of weeks now, and their community is hellbent on just relentless attacks on the devs. I mean, seriously, they're so pissed off. Whether it's a loot problem, a grind problem, the bugs, the defects. There's so many things going on to the point where some PlayStation 4 systems were crashing entirely and bricking because of an update. That shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen, especially from a company like EA, BioWare, and they're putting together a game that's been in the making for 6 years. It's a shame. I guess their loot system is so degraded that it takes forever to get the masterwork stuff, and it's caused the fans to lead to a boycott. So I guess as of today or yesterday, the subreddit around Anthem has called for a boycott. Thousands and thousands of people have agreed that they're going to do it. Who knows if that's really going to hit them in the wallet? If I guess there's a lot of microtransactions in the game, so we'll reduce them, their income somewhat. But some of those people that stop playing it are never going to go back. They're going to go to a different game and move on. Other people, they are going to go back, and others won't even stop playing at all. But the key thing here is, they gotta stop screwing up and get it fixed. But they're talking about a roadmap. They're talking about fixing this thing over the course of the next year. And if that's the case, we're looking at 3 months and done for Anthem. Now, it's still got a base game. I'm still going to play it, at least as far as I can, solo. I tend to like a lot of these games solo anyways. We'll see. I mean, I'll review it at that time, but all I can do now is relay the information I'm reading, and it's not good, and it sucks. Same with like Division 2, you hear good and bad, but it comes out soon, and just a couple days actually. Division 2, wait and see. Give it a couple days after launch. People are going to pre-order it. They're going to bitch and complain. There's going to be a lot of warranted bitching and complaining. They're going to say, look what Anthem just did, and blah blah blah. But I hope that Division 2 really knocks it out of the park. Maybe it goes a little bit differently than Anthem, and the Division 1 got a lot of shit, just like Anthem, just like Destiny, and they come back for a better version of the next one. Who knows? All I can say is I hope that these games get fixed. I hope that they do good, because I love gaming, and I love gaming with all games. I don't pick just one. Moving on to, let's see. There was another study that shows no evidence of connection between violent video games and in real life behaviors. This is pretty important. I mean, I have some sisters that are very serious about this, and they constantly, whenever they get a chance, they let me know that the amount of game time that my kids get and stuff concerns them, and I completely feel like it's warranted, and I love them for providing me their feedback. At the same time, I disagree with some of it, only because I'm such a heavy gamer. Most of the people I know are heavy gamers. None of us are violent people, and I've met plenty of violent people in my day that weren't gamers. I think a lot of it is parenting. A lot of it is just who these people are. And, a lot of the games I've ever played have been violent in nature in some aspect. I mean, hell, every cartoon I watched as a kid was violent. I picked up a hammer and hit my brother in the foot with it, I guess, when I was like 3 years old. Tom and Jerry style. Should we ban Tom and Jerry? I mean, I hate the way that we're going in this society, that, everything is bannable. Everything offends people. Everything is scary. But I mean, it shouldn't be condoned. They shouldn't say, hey, do this to your brother. But at the same time, I mean, I should have known better. I mean, Jesus, what the hell? But I was 3, and, maybe I shouldn't have been watching that program. Who knows? The end of the day, I think even if your kid's playing a violent video game or a scary game or a fun game or a learning game, they can abuse it. They can be abused. My kids overdo it with the tablets. They have to have the tablets removed, and they get very upset. One of the problems is working with them on that, and not problems, but one of the hard things to do is working with them on that. And there's not enough time in a day to get everything you want done, but I try my best to sit down, talk with them, and explain right from wrong. And when I see their behaviors getting out of line, I talk to them about it. It's the best thing I can do. It's the best I know, and I've learned from some great siblings who are great parents. I've learned from friends. I've learned from my own parents, and I'm doing it my own way too. Some of the things that I see and do are strictly my own, or my wife's and I's, and that's how it's going to be. But we're a product of our environment. We're a product of our world, but we're also a product of what we want to be and want our kids to be. I want my kids to be smart. I want them to be funny, happy, enjoy their lives. I want them to love us, both my wife and I, but I also want them to respect us. And I want them to respect others. And again, I want to go back to, I want them to be happy. I want them to enjoy their life. One likes one thing a lot, the other likes another thing a lot. They're not identical kids. I don't treat them like identical kids. And, I think the most important thing we can do is care. I care about them. I care about them more than the world. So I'm going to keep trying to care about them. And, we make mistakes as parents. They make mistakes as kids. We're human. It's what makes us who we are. But I care. So I'm going to keep trying and do my best. I don't think my kids' violent outbursts or anything like that, and they don't really have any of those, but, throw a controller or this or that. Frustration is tough to deal with, and we work with it. And, I had an older brother help me work with my frustration. We had used a pillow fight as best we could until we got in trouble. Put a hole in the window with Ernie's nose or the beanbag chair or beanbag pillow that's a little too hard to be hitting your brother in the head with. You get caught doing those things that you're not supposed to. But, having a good old sibling to take your frustrations out is always good. And that's where the backyard wrestling started, man. I mean, just get over there and try to make your brother tap out. But anyways, it's interesting to see these studies. I mean, as a data analyst, I know I could take any study and make it look good or bad. So I take it all with a grain of salt. And I think a lot of it comes down to parenting and, or at least the environment that they're in. So if you're a parent and you have kids playing games, keep an eye on what they're playing. Be okay with it or not okay with it. And if you're not okay with it, explain why. And, I just took away Roblox. I took it away permanently because the reaction, the attitude, and the, I've taken it away a couple times, but I'm pretty sure this time is the final time because I've never really liked that game. And not because of the way it is or anything, but what can be done in there. And it just seems like there's too many creeps and predators and weirdos. And even if I'm 100% wrong here, I have every right to be concerned because it's not monitored. And it's instant access to whatever, it's just super creepy. And who knows who the hell's behind those things, at least on like PlayStation or whatever. There's accounts locked in and, I don't know. I understand that this whole world can be creepy and people are nuts. And if they're going to be nuts, they're going to be nuts regardless of you leaving Roblox or not. But that's one of the games I'm going to keep them away from because their attitude gets really bad and the environment that they're in, I don't like it. All right. So let's see. I'm going to kind of run through some stuff here, wrap it up. I don't want to get this episode too long because in a couple days we're going to get Joe back on. We're going to dig deeper. But Joe was telling me today that Blackout's going to be getting an update, possibly a hardcore mode for Call of Duty Blackout. I'm super excited if that's the case. I just because my game will go faster. I'll get eliminated quicker, and I'll be able to watch true good players like Joe and Adam as I spectate them from my deathbed. But no, I think that's a good way to go. Why not give a couple of options here? Blackout is losing the race when it comes to viewership. It's fallen off drastically. There's not a lot of people watching people play that game. And I said it from the beginning, it's not as necessarily fun to watch, in my opinion, as it is to play. I think if it were free to play, I think it would be one of the number one battle royales out there. And it'll be interesting to see if they change tune here coming up, because now the market has dried up. The game Black Ops 4 is going on sale. In my memory, Call of Duty games didn't generally go on sale too much, and now all of a sudden, we're not even 6 months later, and it's on sale, and their viewership is down. So as the devs for Blackout wind down, I'm sorry, not Blackout, but the devs for Black Ops 4 wind down, and they start working on their next thing, and then we have the next Call of Duty coming out soon, which is probably going to be World War 4, I guess, or that franchise. I hope it's Modern Warfare 2 remastered, but we'll see. And then you have this month's free game is Modern Warfare remastered for Sony PlayStation. Call of Duty's doing a lot of things right, but Blackout. If Blackout goes free to play, you're going to see obviously the playership go way up, and I think it could be in the top because Call of Duty's name. Will they do it? Who knows? But they should. I mean, with all these other battle royales going free to play and then making billions of dollars, it only makes sense. You look at Apex. And, if it wasn't free to play, I mean, it wouldn't even come close because people aren't going to just invest money when they're unsure. But yeah, I'll play it for free. I mean, I tried Smite, I tried Paladins, all these different games on the PlayStation Store that are free to play. Some of them hooked me for a little bit, Neverwinter or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. Apex, though, still killing it. 50 million plus players. They broke Fortnite's streak on Twitch of 11 straight months as the most watched game on Twitch. Fortnite almost went an entire year, which is amazing, as the most watched game in a combined month. However, Apex came along and took it. However, again, I've talked about this in the past, Fortnite and Epic have so much money now that they can play. And now they're getting their viewership back up. How did they do it? Free battle pass. They're pumping money into esports. They're giving streamers more money, more divvy on their the creator codes. They're changing the game up a little bit. They took out planes. They're adding a hamster ball, or the Jurassic Park gyrosphere has a little grappling hook on the front. They're changing the mobility around. They added a volcano that you can fly around. They're doing a lot of things. And, I love the fact that we have this new style. I know it can get frustrating, but it can also be a lot of fun. I've played a bunch this season, season 8. It's not as drawing to me as previous seasons. I think each season I start to lose it a little bit of the luster. I think season 5 was really where midway through I was like, yeah, okay. But I still play. I mean, it makes my son happy. I like seeing him happy. I play with, him or to get the characters. And today I had a revelation. When I was a kid, I had G.I. Joes. Lots of G.I. Joes. I wanted every single G.I. Joe. And every time a new G.I. Joe came out, I wanted it. And I remember they were $3 a pop, sometimes 5. Now, when you go look at the G.I. Joes, they're freaking $19 a piece. Walmart was selling Fortnite characters, all these skins, but they're basically G.I. Joe shapes, the same size as old G.I. Joes. And they're $12 to $20 a pop. It's just crazy to me. But that's where I had this revelation. It's like, oh, okay. This whole infatuation with skins and stuff. And I did it. It was just in a different manner. I could physically hold it, made it a little bit more worthwhile, I guess. But I probably played more Fortnite than I ever did G.I. Joes. So who knows? But, it's interesting to have all those pieces come together. But yeah, so Apex, they banned 355,000 cheaters since they started. The devs are working hand in hand with the players. They're, they're tweaking the game. They're sticking with it. It's still getting a lot of views. Fortnite, though, is coming back because of these tournaments and these things. They're pumping tons of money. I mean, it's kind of inevitable with the amount of money that they have, but Apex is holding its own. And I jumped in on last night with my buddy and on the Xbox, and we won. So hats off to Johnny. I think it was like 3 or 4 games in, maybe 5. We got our first win together as a team. And we got a total combined 0 kills, total combined maybe 200 damage, but we got that dub. And, we played smart and we won. And I told him we would. So, that's where the skill set comes along, knowing where not to get shot. And I know how to do that in Apex. Another fun thing, I reached out to the players or the listeners and all that, and I just want to hear what you guys are all playing. We all have our own backlogs, and it's interesting to hear what you all have. So I'm just gonna kind of throw it out there, and if you're a listener playing any of these games, feel free to tweet at us. Let us know your thoughts on these games or whatnot. So obviously we have the Blackout, we have Fortnite. Even some of our listeners are playing Anthem, but here's a couple of other ones. So Yakuza Kiwami, it was the game free to play on PlayStation for the month of February. Got some listeners playing that. Apex, obviously. Mage's Tale VR. There's a VR game right there that it's got a lot of hype on the PC and came to PlayStation VR. I have not had a chance to jump in there and play it. But it's getting good reviews. It's a full game. People are saying it's good things. So I definitely, if you haven't, check out the Play PSVR podcast. Alex and Adam over there, they give you detailed rundowns every week. Definitely a good podcast to throw on your bookmarks there. Some other listeners playing Jump Force, UFC 3, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Hitman 2, Destiny 2, Forza Horizon 4, Red Dead 2, The Crew 2. Lots of twos. Okay, Smash Brothers Ultimate. That's a game I got. Haven't really, with all this moving, haven't really had the Switch set up properly for some Ultimate, but I'm going to get in there really soon. I can't wait to play that, but unfortunately, I just haven't played that. The same with all these other games, god damn it. But my sister even threw out Snood. I thought that was interesting and funny. Snood. My mom used to play the hell out of Snood for hours and hours on end. Definitely nostalgia there, but so yeah, good variety of games that everyone's playing, and I love to hear what y'all are playing. So stay tuned, because I'm going to be finishing up some backlog games pretty soon, and it looks like one or two of the games that I have are on this list. New to my backlog, recent sales have allowed me to jump into the store and throw some games onto my list. So added is Need for Speed Payback and The Crew 2. I got those for Joe. Joe doesn't want to get VR for me, but I got racing games for him. I got that steering wheel as well, and these games are compatible, so I hope to stream and at least play and give reviews on how the force feedback on the G29 goes, and also Joe's been talking both of these games up for quite some time. I look forward to getting in there and playing it, racing. They're not VR. I wish they were, but hey, get what we, take what we can get. UFC 3. This one's from my cousin Buddy. Buddy, I'm going to play a little bit of this. I'm going to jump into a game. I'm going to kick your ass. You understand? If you're listening right now, you message me, you tell me when. I'm going to kick your ass in UFC 3. I'm going to tell all my fans, all my listeners that I did it, and to go over to MMA Marks, go over to your podcast, and tweet at you and tell you suck at UFC 3. You can do it anyways, fans, if you want to. His name is Buddy. MMA Marks. Get him. Sick him. All right? You tell him, say, your cousin Kevin is going to kick your ass. And now, the last game on my list added onto my backlog. If you've heard me talk about in the past, Pinball FX VR2, or FX2, Pinball FX2 VR. I have had that game for quite some time, but they have the season pass and the add-on packs were at a discount not too long ago. I picked those up as well. That's a fun one. There's no sickness, no craziness. It just truly feels like you're playing a game of pinball at a pinball machine. The environments around you are phenomenal for the different tables you go to. So I can't wait to jump in, play some Back to the Future or whatever. But yeah, those are the new games on my list. As I said earlier, stay tuned. Division 2 comes out later this week, the 15th. And then in April, my big one for the first half of 2019 is Days Gone. I am not going to pre-order it, but I am going to be looking. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how that game does. I think it's going to be okay, but I'm not going to get my hopes up because I did for Anthem. And while Anthem is fun to play, it's not fun to play for a long period of time. I'm hoping that Days Gone is. It's another one that's been hanging on the, on the threads here for quite some time. And with all of that being said, I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to pump this one out. I'm going to get it all to you. And that is a wrap. So if y'all like what you're listening to, go on out to thebacklogexposed.com. Go to anchor.fm/thebacklogexposed. And we will see you later. I'm Kevin, and this is The Backlog Exposed.